Hi, my name is Desmond. Just making this video to show some of the progress I've made on my Nissan Serena van. I bought this recently in New Zealand. You can get these for around $3,500 US, 5,500 New Zealand dollars, or about 60,000 Rand in South Africa. Now, what I like about this van, it's 2006 Nissan Serena. It's very well made. The dash has a nice indentation there where a lot of stuff can be stored. It's not the longest van. If I were to lie in there, there's about 30 centimeters headspace above me. What I've done so far with it. Made this box, and there's two lids that go on top of the box which form the bed. And you can see how much space is in there once it's put together. I'll just open the back. Now at the back here you can see where I've made an extra bench, because if I fold the two back seats down and I put the lids on top of them to make the bed, it sticks out quite a bit and it's a little bit springy. I made this extra bed here, this extra bench, just to take up the springiness and make it more stable. I think a bed is probably one of the most important things in a camper van, because when you're in a strange place you want to be comfortable, and you don't want to keep waking up thinking, where am I? What feels so strange here? You don't want to be bumping your feet or your head against anything. And in this case I've tried to make it so that I don't have to move the front seats at all, because I don't want to have to keep adjusting things. So what I'll do is I'll pull it apart now and show you bit by bit what I've done. Right, here's the box that I've made for it. As you can see, I put some little wheels at the bottom so that when I pick it up and move it into the van, it doesn't scrape on the floor, it just rolls along. And inside the van, I've removed the seats that go here. I've left the back seats in. My reasoning is that when we're camping, you're going to wait a few hours, you want a comfortable place to sit. Adjustable seats, reclining, you can sit comfortably. The box that I've got in the front there is like a table. We can watch a movie or whatever while we're waiting for bedtime, and it's a lot more comfortable than making my own benches. And there's also the fact that I want to be able to use this van without having to put it all back together again. At the back here there's space for 3 people to sit, or 2 normal people and one of our Filipino friends. You wouldn't fit many Americans on the back here. The front has an armrest that folds up and becomes another seat as well, for another rather thin person could fit in there. So it's still a 6-seater, even though I've removed the 2 seats that go in the middle. And there's also the seat, this middle seat here. When you've got the middle row of seats in here, this here folds up, and I'll find out where it folds up. And that becomes a middle seat for the other 2 seats that sit over here. It's also very narrow, more like a child size, but for us it's going to stay folded down. And on the front, got 2 cup holders here, and it's going to stay forward there. Now when I pull these seats out, that left these 3 holes here, and the carpets can fall out there. So what I've done is I've got these poles here that are actually meant for fencing, and what I've done is I've put nails on them so that I can adjust how far forward my box goes. Our van doesn't have an alarm installed yet, but it has an immobiliser, South African style. Now you can see those 4 slats in there with the nails that I can adjust, which stops the box sliding up against the back of the seat, and it adds a little bit of storage space here for the essentials and anything else. Otherwise, if it's pushing up against the seat, you can put nothing in there. Right, so as I've said before, I didn't want to throw away the back seats. I want it to be still useful at any time without having to reassemble the whole thing, to be able to go away with people and do things without having to worry about where they're going to sit and reassembling things. Now what I'll do is I'll load up the box. You can see the little wheels at the bottom here, and they make it roll easily. There's a bit of stuff in it that I should have taken out, so a bit heavy at the moment. Now what I've done with the lids, that I've made it 2 separate lids, so I can store stuff on this side. On the other side is going to be the bedding, and keep a couple of sleeping bags in there. I have a cargo net in the roof. 2 pillows could fit in there, and it has a zip over here. Another little compartment I can put my light in. And then of course, when it's in, there's a fair amount of leg room. So I can sit in here, put my feet up, you can watch a movie or whatever, and they're really comfortable seats. I don't like these videos you see where someone goes and throws in a mattress in the back, and then all they can do is sit on it all night while they're waiting for bedtime. Now the Nissan Serena actually has seats that can fold down and make one giant long bed, but it's very wavy, and then it wastes all the space there where you could be storing stuff. So that's why I opted to pull the seats out. The front seat itself, it's released, that drops down and it becomes a table, and it's going to be the same height as our bed once it's down. So the thing is, we've got 2 little dogs, and they're going to have a place to stay, or they'll still probably squeeze their way up between us. These are the lids that both go on top of it. I'll show you how they're stored. I have them marked. This is top. This is the bottom one. Bottom right, so left side, right hand side. Sits on there. What I've done is I cut this hand railing, aluminium hand railing, and I'm using that for it to slot into the box on the other side. And then while we're driving, there's these 2 bolts, and they push in there and they secure them from moving. When you stop and you take the bed out, I had 2 options. The one option was to fold the blanket, the back seat down all the way backwards. If I were to take this back seat and fold it down all the way to the back, it's going to give us headroom all the way to the back of the camper, of the van, But then what I have to do is I have to take mattresses and put them on top of here so that it's level. But what it also does, when it folds down at the back there, it decreases the amount of space you could store stuff at the back. But what I've opted for is to fold it right forward and put the lids on top of it. What I also did to stop the squeaking noises, I've got a piece of wire, rubbery wire, and I pushed it down into the slot here, so it's sitting on a bit of rubber rather than bouncing around on the aluminium, because I drive it to work each day and I test it and see each new change I make. I see how well it works while you're driving, and it can squeak a bit when you're driving, but that bit of rubber there, that wire, prevents it from doing that. So with this option, one person can be sitting down and one person can be lying in bed. It's quite versatile. I'll go and have a look at the back. You can see that it sticks out quite a bit and it's quite springy, which would be very uncomfortable. So that's why I made the little bench that goes at the end that supports it. Also, each panel is 1200 by 600, so we've got 1800 that way, which means it would just be big enough for us to fit. And you have issues of your pillow falling off the end or your feet touching the chair, so you need to add that extra bit of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the other one in. Now if I take this bench, put the bench underneath it, we've got about 20 centimeters extra headroom, and it's nice and sturdy. Once you're lying on that, you don't have any issues, hopefully. With enough space for the pillows not to fall off the edge, storage space underneath, and you have your cup holder and place for little USB power supplies and LED lights and things like that on either side of you. Pillows will be stored up here. Once you put your pillows down, you put your jackets and other stuff like that up there. I've also gone with the option of solar rechargeable torches, little Bluetooth speaker, tablet. I can pair that with that, and I can play movies over here and listen to the sound over Bluetooth. So you've got something to do while you're waiting for bedtime. If I was going to spend longer than a weekend, I would wire up a battery. I'd connect up an extra battery at the back. I'd put a voltage sensitive relay here to switch across to there. Next to the voltage sensitive relay, I would actually have a switch, so that if I need to jump start my van from the back batteries for some reason, I can just switch the two together. You don't have the engine running for them to join together. And then you could also jump start your van. Now, some of the other decisions I made was to have one of these cheap butane cookers, possibly water storage in here, but otherwise I'd just get normal water bottles from the store and just pile them in there, and not have to worry too much about pulling up the big container each time. I also bought this jump start kit. It has a compressor in it for pumping up tires. It has polarity check, USB power supply, a light, and just to check how far the battery is charged, and normal socket output. They say you're supposed to charge it every 3 months or so, but that way I've got something to jump start my van since I don't have another battery in it, and a couple of other things, useful things that it can do. And the old kettle, whistling kettle. Now on some of the videos you see people have a pull-out kitchen here. They pull it out sideways and they've got their kitchen. I've chosen not to do that. We're going to have two little dogs with us. I don't want them to be able to walk across there into the kitchen. There's also no shelter here unless I put something over it. At the back we have the lid, and I'm going to put the kitchen in the back here, possibly with one leg, so that when you pull it out you can drop the one leg down and it sticks out. You're under the shelter and you've got space over here. You can do cooking and stuff like that. Doesn't matter if you spill stuff on the floor, and we're on holiday anyway, so what do we want to be doing too much cooking for? I've also got this little stool, bit of scrap they're throwing out at work, climbing in and out. Now I had thought about putting roof racks on here and getting an awning. If I was going away for weeks at a time and I had another vehicle that I could just pipe this up, I'd get a roof rack and a side awning. And there's going to be another $1,000. And it's got the lid at the back, which acts as a bit of an awning. But you also get these pop-up shower tents. That's $20 or $30 worth. Higher than the van. There's a doorway, obviously. You'd want to pin it down in the wind. Take it down tight. It's supposed to be for showering. You can hang a shower through a tree or something like that. But you can put this on the side of the van. I would put it facing the side door. I'm going to stay, if I've got a bit of time to set things up, I've got a very light tarpaulin. I'll take it and put it over the top of the van. I've got some roof magnets. Stick it down with magnets, tie it down over here. You've got an awning and you've got a separate change room over there. And that's $30 for the pop-up tent, $40 or $50 for a really nice big awning, as opposed to $1,000 for the right roof racks. And on my van I probably have to drill holes in the roof, and a fancy pop-out awning. A lot of times those pop-out awnings, they don't cover much, so even though they look reasonably wide, rain comes in sideways and a bit of wind, and you may as well not even have an awning. If you've got something you can go over and go down into the ground, and then I know that a lot of the times we're going to wake up early in the morning and it's going to be wet, and we're going to want to get going because we like to keep moving a lot. So that's what the back kitchen area is going to be for as well. I'm going to have a little plastic container there, and the tarpaulin can just get pushed into there to dry out later on when it's sunny, or even if we get home. And it can just sit there for the next place we stop, pull it out even if it's wet, and we can put it back, because you don't want to roll up a wet tarpaulin and pack it in its bag and stick it in there. Let's see if I still remember how to fold this down. So to me, that's my budget version of a camper van, which doesn't lose its usefulness. I don't want to have a van with cupboards and shelves and everything in there, and you can't use it for anything else. I want to be able to load stuff in it. If I want, the back seats can fold up out of the way, so it's reasonably light on fuel. And I'll make an update when I think I'm finished what I want to do with it.